Online video is now so readily available across mobiles, tablets, even games consoles. There's a huge demand for engaging content from brands. It's turned brand marketing on its head, and it's not just the big names in the mix. Everyone's starting to use it.
I think it varies massively from client to client about their ability to understand the power of video, and it also depends on the budgets available, though we all know that online video content is a very cost-effective medium for creating a brand presence or driving sales or whatever objective you align with that video content production.
The challenge that everyone's got at the minute is we're all about content, we're all about creating content, but where do you put that content? We've now become a sort of a nation or a demographic that is very comfortable with watching online content. So I think definitely online content is the future. It's about how do you get those people to watch that online content? I think that's the challenge.
Customers are really looking for ways in which they can click through from watching a video to purchase an item, and there are certain brands out there that are clearly making those steps, but I think on a more general level, if video is to really reach its potential, that's where brands need to be looking to kind of drive the next action from consumers.
Clients generally are reluctant in some ways to create video because it is expensive. It's not, a cheap thing to create. There's a lot of effort that goes into it, and also it's difficult to get right.
It's quite hard to get budget out of brands for this. It sits across digital, obviously, sits across communications, and it's not seen as a major part of the content strategy yet, which will change this year.
Sporting events in 2012 have given brands like Nike and Adidas the biggest platform for innovation in online video. But all brands are seeing the benefit of visual media online in their marketing activities. Just the number of online viewers has skyrocketed this year, with more than 80% of the online population watching video online.
We're always looking at engagement, and we're always looking at the amount of time people spend with you as a brand. And we all know that if somebody watches a piece of video content, they're going to spend more time with you.
There's a wealth of online content. It's definitely effective, but it's that age-old adage of, let's create a viral video. I don't know how you create a viral video. What I do know is how you create great content that people want to watch more and more.
There's no excuse for not integrating it into experiential activity. Obviously, social media. Small brands might do a gig at a 100 capacity venue. Suddenly, that can go out to 100,000 people globally. It's amazing. Everyone wants that.
For brands, the main benefits are that, much deeper engagement. More emotional marketing messages, or they can tell a story.
Online news sites are really demanding this kind of entertaining content, and when you think about the reach of the Daily Mail online, that's hugely powerful to brands.
Where video is very good, it's a very inclusive medium and a very shareable medium, which works very well for consumer brands.
I think what's really interesting is there are lots and lots of stunts that people do that don't get traditional media pickup. But in having a video, there's a call to action in giving a URL. And I think that's where the reach is massively improved.
Getting your video in front of the right audience is essential, and good social outreach can deliver focused results in a broad spectrum of consumer markets. Literally everything from wedding shoes to neon bicycle wheels. It's a great way to engage your demographics.
For us, seeding content is about getting media partners to take the content because it's worthy of being taken by those partners, not because they've been paid money. And I think the sponsored links are fine, but actually the sort of inability to actually look at where the views came from, and that seeding in that way is totally wrong. So for us, it's about seeding the content with like-minded individuals who want it, who like the content, and who want the content because it adds value.
The way in which we work with clients is understanding and mapping where the content can go, and not having that just on social media, but across all forms of media that are available to us. It's really having a targeted approach to bloggers and identifying whether they're likely to be interested in this kind of content, and really teasing out what the media and news angle is for more traditional news sites like Daily Mail, Times Online, and ensuring that we can see content to them.
Most demographics are now becoming quite accustomed to watching online content, whether it's through mobile devices or through other sort of platforms. It's becoming very much part of the way we consume media.
maybe a younger consumer's happier watching on a tablet, on an iPad, on the move or online, versus a slightly older consumer who's more about consuming a more traditional YouTube view that's embedded into a picture on, Mail Online.
Getting the content right is one thing, but then also the big part of it is getting the content out there. So seeding is really important. I think this is one of the areas that still need lots of work and really need to be planned when developing a campaign or creating that video content to start with.
T-Mobile's Life for Sharing campaign has been hugely popular across a wide audience, while Extreme Sports has really delivered for youth and lifestyle brands. Using analytics to make sure you're reaching the right people, video content is now one of the best ways to maximise success for client campaigns.
Clients want results. At the end of the day, that's what matters to them. And I think that, again, we can see that people want to consume more and more video content. If we are first off the press with an amazing piece of video content 24 hours after an event has happened, we know that we're going to get additional reach from that campaign, in the sense that, yes, everybody who came to the event will have been there, they will have experienced it with us, but if we can get our video out there the next day, the reach will be so much further.
Measurement needs to go beyond just the number of YouTube hits. I think awareness is very important, and if you are getting over 1 million hits on YouTube, that can be a good thing. But I think that brands and agencies need to be working together to measure beyond that.
We look at the number of key sites that we've managed to place that video content on. We look at the number of views in terms of how many times people have watched that piece of content, and we look at the sentiment attached to that piece of content. What are the comments that have been sort of driven in terms of the reaction of watching that content?
We tend to use YouTube or a similar platform as the place to host a video, and that is hosted in one place in that central platform. And through the analytics that YouTube and Google provide, we look at the top referring sources, where was it embedded, how many views did that generate, and then look at how that marries up with things like demographics.
Once somebody's watched that piece of content, they're gone. But have you managed to pull them into your community? Have you managed to have a lasting effect on them as an individual? Are they still with you in your brand? That's the key metric of success for me.
Opinions differ on how long is too long for video content. Ken Block's fuel-injected extravaganza for DC Shoes is a full 10 minutes, but it was the most watched video in July this year, hitting 23 million views in just 2 weeks on YouTube alone. It just goes to show that video content doesn't have to be short to be engaging, it just has to be worth watching.
I do not think you can say, there's the 1 minute rule or there's the 2 minute rule. I think there's a rule in capturing people's attention.
My advice would be to try and keep it as short as possible, but within that shouldn't be at the cost of having a strong structure to a video.
I think there is a finite period of time where consumers are looking to engage with content. It's not like watching a 30-minute TV show. It's actually about short, sharp fixes, I think.
I love 3-minute, 2-minute videos. I can watch them, I can stop them, I can be interrupted, I watch it again. And I think that the brilliance is, once again, about I can watch lots of things in a day.
An educational video or tutorial could be like 10 or 15 minutes long, and that's still the right length. So it really depends on what the content is.
Smart TV ownership is taking off in a big way in 2012, and with online video on games consoles as well, brands have a variety of ways to reach their audiences, managing content on their own channels. It's a huge growth area, and brands like Red Bull are leading the way, having already established a Smart TV channel in January this year.
It almost seems a bit cliche to say, but Red Bull obviously nailing it. But I don't think that's purely down to their video content strategy or the way the website's set up. I actually think they've been working so hard to integrate themselves with a community and a culture for the past, since they began.
To think that a firm like Tipex, which is such a standard product for everyone to use, is actually doing some really innovative stuff with interactive video, I think is really exciting.
I'd absolutely say Skittles, without a doubt. I am a huge fan of videos that have clear and concise calls to action, that are responsive, that are funny, and actually tell social media stories well. And of course explains why they have one of the most engaged Facebook pages in the world ever.
I think what Jamal's done at SBTV is fairly phenomenal. I think some of it's down to the brand owners and the music guys going, how do we find this youth audience? How do we find the generation X, Y, whatever we're calling them today? And Jamal's built something that has that audience. You know, the future is online and the future is about content, and naturally online video seems to be the right sort of marriage of those two things.